My first love girlfriend ran away from the wedding for her male best friend, rubbing my family's face on the ground. After breaking up, she disrupted all 9 of my blind dates. On the 10th time, she sat opposite me. Tyler, can we start over? After being rejected, she began to pester me relentlessly and even broke a leg for me. After all, she was the girl I once loved deeply into my bones. I softened. Tyler, you are excellent in all aspects. I am very satisfied. The girl opposite is very beautiful, has an excellent figure, and her conversation is also to my taste. If the person accompanying me in the future is her, getting married might be a good choice. Miss Gu, you are also very good. The girl's eyes lit up, and a smile that couldn't be suppressed rose on her lips. Then can we make an appointment next time? To be honest, Xavier, I think we are very suitable. If possible, I hope our matter can be settled as soon as possible. I tapped the table with my index finger. There was a movement from the backrest of the chair behind me, and my phone also rang. I don't need to look to know who sent the message. Xavier, my first love and also the only ex-girlfriend I have ever had in my life, is sitting behind me at this moment. Seeing that I didn't reply to the message or speak for a long time, Xavier couldn't help but come over from behind and push me to the window. Miss Gu, right? Hello. I am Tyler's first love, Xavier. The kind who have known each other for 12 years and been together for 8 years. Zoe's eyes flashed with surprise and quickly returned to normal. She gracefully extended her hand, with an unchanged smile on her face. Hello, Zoe. Nice to meet you. Xavier, thank you for taking care of Tyler all these years. From now on, with me by Tyler's side, you can rest assured. At the moment their eyes intersected, I seemed to see crackling sparks. Their hands were also competing. The 2 slender and fair hands were bulging with blue veins, showing how strong the force was. I propped my chin, with an attitude of being indifferent and aloof, and even had a hint of interest in my eyes. Xavier gritted her teeth, with a mocking smile in her eyes. Miss Gu, some words are said too early. You have no relationship with Tyler yet. Just a blind date. Before you, Tyler had 8 blind dates. Zoe forced a smile, but the knuckles of her fingers turned white. Having no relationship now doesn't mean there won't be one in the future. Maybe I am Tyler's destined one? I think I still have a lot of hope compared to you. Xavier, his ex-girlfriend. Now Xavier's exposed forearm was also bulging with blue veins. This was a reaction that only appeared when she was extremely angry. Sure enough, in the next second, she let go of the other's hand, sat back in her seat, and immediately put her arm around mine. Her full chest also pressed against me, making an intimate appearance. Tyler, tell her, who is more hopeful between me and her? I glanced sideways, frowned slightly, and a feeling of disgust rose in my heart. This hand of hers had been held by her male best friend countless times. I slapped off the hand she put on my shoulder, with a faint tone and a hint of displeasure. Xavier, we have broken up for 2 years. What you are doing is meaningless. Miss Gu, I think we can take a step further. Let's start dating directly. Zoe opposite had surprise in her eyes, while Xavier beside me was full of panic and disbelief. Tyler, are you crazy? You two have only known each other for less than 2 hours. Since you met, you didn't like the previous date. Why would you like her? Are you in? Do you think I'm too noisy? Tyler, don't date her, okay? I won't make trouble or act up anymore. I'll be good. She buzzed in my ear. I had no waves in my heart, only a strange sense of annoyance. Enough, Xavier. At 26 years old, can't you be more mature and stable? She stared at me blankly, with mist rising in her eyes and the corners of her eyes turning red. But she didn't say a word, just looked at me quietly, exuding a sad aura all over. My chest suddenly felt stuffy. and I subconsciously turned my face away. Xavier, I don't have a second 8 years to accompany you in making trouble. From today on, Zoe is my girlfriend. Don't come to me anymore. She staggered and supported herself on the back of the chair. Those misty eyes stared at me without blinking. A teardrop flowed down from her left eye, adding a bit of fragility to her. In the past, I could never resist her like this. As soon as she cried, I was at a loss and wished I could give her my life. But after experiencing that kind of thing, now my heart is like a rock. She carried my entire youth. I thought we could achieve a positive result, and she would be my final destination. But 2 years ago, she abandoned me at the wedding for her male best friend Jason, making me and my parents a laughingstock in the eyes of relatives and friends. Her youthful impulsiveness made me and my family pay the price. In those years, I also loved her deeply and was willing to give up all my dignity for her. Even myself. But a girl with another man in her heart. Her love is too impure. I really can't love anymore. She took my hand, with a strong crying tone. Tyler, give me another chance. Okay? I will definitely love you well in the future. Don't be impulsive. Okay? I know you still have me in your heart. I suppressed my expression, and hid the sadness in my eyes. She is always so selfish and always has such a good opinion of herself. As soon as Jason said he needed her, even if she was deeply in love with me, she would pull away and rush to his side quickly. And whenever there is a woman around me, she is always mysterious and full of yin and yang. Even in the face of my female colleagues and female leaders, she would directly attack without hesitation, always making me embarrassed. She is strict with me but lenient with herself. In her eyes, her excessive possessiveness towards me is love for me. And every time I get angry because of Jason, it is me being unreasonable. Thinking of those nights of crying and the embarrassing moments in front of my colleagues, I became very angry. I pushed her hard and walked to the opposite side, putting my arm around Zoe's shoulder. Xavier, don't pester me anymore. It's really annoying. I have decided to start over. I hope you do too. Zoe glanced at me, withdrew her arm, and took my hand instead, interlocking our fingers. Xavier, one should be able to let go and move on. Tyler obviously doesn't love you anymore. As a woman, one should also have dignity. Pestering endlessly is not good looking. Xavier stared at our interlocked hands. Her eyes were a bit dull, and the sadness in her eyes overflowed. She opened her mouth but couldn't make a sound. Suddenly, my heart tightened. Subconsciously, I tightened my fingers. At this time, Zoe beside me spoke in due course. Tyler, Xavier may need some time alone. Let's go first. I didn't look at Xavier again and turned around mercilessly. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw her reach out her hand but put it down quickly. I sighed slightly in my heart. Since I accepted my family's arrangement to go on blind dates, she would secretly follow me every time and has disrupted 8 of my blind dates. I don't want to be entangled with her anymore and won't look back. Some hardships are enough to experience once. I absently got into the car with Zoe. It wasn't until she fastened my seatbelt that I came to my senses. Miss Gu. I have my own car. You don't need to send me. I was about to undo my seatbelt when she pressed my hand. Tyler, I know you were just acting to anger your first love, but I am serious about you. There was a seriousness on her face that scared me. I stared at her blankly and didn't know how to react for a moment. She sighed softly, and her face got closer and closer. Just as she was about to kiss me, my consciousness returned. I turned my head aside. Miss Gu, let's start as friends first. Flash love and flash marriage are not good for either of us. Originally, I had some good feelings for her, but her frivolous action just now completely shattered my impression of her. Kissing just after knowing each other. I can't accept it. She sat up straight, with a calm expression on her face. It seemed that she wasn't surprised by my sudden change of attitude. Tyler, I really have a crush on you at first sight. Just now it was just irresistible. Perhaps you don't know that you are a very charming man. I am not that kind of casual woman. You can rest assured. Her expression was very serious. I pretended to cough to avoid this topic. But my phone suddenly rang. After answering, my mother's gentle and sweet voice came from the other end. Tyler, how is today's blind date going? Is it going well? I glanced at Zoe, who was looking at me with a smile, and replied in a low voice while covering the receiver. It's going okay. Mom. I'm going home. Let's not talk for now. Just as I was about to hang up, my mother started yelling on the other end. Tyler, what do you mean by going okay? Did you like each other or not? This is the 9th blind date arranged by me. If you mess it up again, I won't have a place to put my old face. I tell you, Tyler, if you can't bring back a girlfriend by the little new year, then don't come home. Looking at you is annoying. Go sleep on the street. It can be seen that she is really angry. She started arranging blind dates for me at the beginning of the month, once every 2 or 3 days. All the high-quality girls recommended by relatives and friends have been dated by me. Every time it was unsuccessful. In the end, I was even scolded as a fickle playboy who eats from the bowl and looks at the pot. To say that I would be despised by the whole family, it has to be blamed on Xavier. If it weren't for her disrupting every time, I would have settled down long ago. After hanging up the phone, Zoe turned her face away, and her shoulders were still trembling. Miss Gu, if you want to laugh, just laugh. Don't hold it back. She turned her head, and the raised corner of her mouth was even harder to suppress than an AK-47. After my mother's outburst, the atmosphere between me and her didn't seem so awkward anymore. Tyler, can I call you Tyler from now on? Don't be so distant. Just call me Zoe. I raised my eyebrows, which was considered as her suggestion. Thinking of my mother's words, I had a headache and subconsciously sighed. There are only 2 days left until the little new year. My mom has really given an ultimatum. Zoe raised her hand and twirled a strand of hair, smiling charmingly, and her expression became more serious. Tyler, I really think we are very suitable. Don't you consider it? I was about to refuse when my phone vibrated again. It was another message from my mother. Tyler, I'm giving you an ultimatum here. Don't take it lightly. If you can bring back a girlfriend, you are my own son. If you can't bring back a girlfriend, don't come back and annoy me. The rejections that were on the tip of my tongue were swallowed back forcefully. Zoe, let's give it a try. Come home with me for a meal on the little New Year's Eve? For after separating from Zoe, I drove home alone. I saw Xavier downstairs in my house. As soon as I parked the car, she came forward and opened the door for me. She also looked around and checked. After confirming that there was only me in the car, she breathed a sigh of relief. Tyler, you and the one surnamed Gu aren't together, right? I said so. How can this kind of blind date be as good as my first love? The person who knows you best in this world is. I directly interrupted her self-righteousness. Xavier, I have confirmed our relationship with her. On the little New Year's Eve, I will take her home to meet my parents. Her nagging was like flies buzzing in my ears. It was really annoying. In the past, her being so nagging might make me think that was her way of showing concern. But now, I just find it noisy. The smile on her face faded little by little, and she said blankly, Tyler, what did you say? This isn't true, right? How long have you known each other? How can you take her home? What did she do to you? Did you sleep with her just now? I knew it. She looks seductive and is definitely not a good woman. She held my shoulder tightly, and her long nails dug into my flesh. I was in pain, but she didn't care at all, and didn't reduce her strength at all. I couldn't bear it anymore. I pushed her away. Unsteady on her feet, she fell directly to the ground. Xavier, don't think everyone is as despicable as you. Nothing happened between me and her. Choosing to take her home is just that I approve of her. She is very suitable for me. Whether it's family background, education or personality. She matches me very well. Xavier raised her head. And tears slipped from the corners of her eyes again. I don't know if she did it on purpose or not. The clothes she was wearing were also very thin. At this moment, under the cold wind, her slightly trembling body all showed her weakness, pity and helplessness. I shifted my gaze, locked the car and didn't look at her again. I walked directly into the community building. Tyler, is there really no possibility for us anymore? Are you really sure there is nothing wrong with her at all? Have you checked her background? My intuition tells me that she is not a good woman. Her voice with a crying tone was somewhat harsh and even more heart-piercing. I pressed down the discomfort in my heart hard. Stopped in my tracks but didn't turn back. Xavier, even if I were with a dog, I would never choose you again. Don't waste time on me. Let go of the past. There was a sobbing cry from behind. The hand I put in my coat clenched into a fist. My nails were firmly pressed against the palm of my hand. It was painful. But I seemed to be unaware. After going home and telling my mom that I would bring my girlfriend home on Little New Year's Eve, her attitude towards me changed 180 degrees. She began to discuss with my dad about the dishes to be prepared that day. She even happily transferred several thousand yuan to me and asked me to prepare gifts for that girl. I was a bit dumbfounded. In this matter, she was very attentive. But it's also true. Since I was abandoned at the wedding 2 years ago, our family has become a laughing stock. I still haven't settled down. In the past 2 years, my parents have really been poked in the back many times. They are strong-willed all their lives. Because of me, a non-filial son, they have really suffered too many grievances. On the night of Little New Year's Eve, I made an appointment with Zoe at the large supermarket downstairs of my house. After choosing gifts, I was about to pay when she scanned the code one step ahead. Tyler, I'm the one visiting today. Naturally, I should buy the gifts. This is also my intention. There is no reason for you to pay. My hand holding the phone was a bit tight. Xavier would always only spend my money. Even when buying birthday gifts for her male best friend, she used my card. In those years when I was with her, I was like an ATM. 5 when I returned to my door. I was taking out the key to open the door. The door was pulled open, revealing my mom's face smiling like a chrysanthemum. Oh, it's Zoe. Right? So beautiful. She and my Tyler are really a perfect match with talent and beauty. My mom took the gifts in her hand, and put them all in my hand. She affectionately pulled her in. Instead, she treated me, this son, as an emotionals tool. I heard from my old sister that you are a university professor. Right? Zoe handled it with ease. After I put away the things and came out, she had already made my mom extremely happy. Mom, where's Dad? My mom didn't even look at me. He's in the kitchen. Tyler, you can also cook a few dishes. Tonight, you must show your hand to Xiaogu no matter what. Coincidentally, I couldn't stand her enthusiasm either. I turned around and walked towards the kitchen, but was held by Zoe, who stood up. She pressed me to sit on the sofa and smiled gently. With me here, there's no need for you to cook in person. Tyler, you and Aunt just sit here and watch TV. I'll go and help Uncle. My mom's eyes looking at her became more and more affectionate. Instead, it made me look like an idle good for nothing. Tyler, this Zoe is really good. Her Sarah has found a good one for you this time. I smiled and didn't speak. The Sarah in her mouth is a well-known matchmaker in our community. Whoever has a single person in the surrounding area, she can find them by smelling. In the surrounding 10 miles, there are at least 80 marriages facilitated by her. My mom kept praising Zoe in front of me. I listened absentedly and agreed from time to time. In fact, if you think about it carefully, Zoe is indeed a virtuous and good woman. She is polite and knows how to advance and retreat. Actually, Being with her has high emotional value. While daydreaming, the two people in the kitchen brought out plate after plate of dishes. Now my dad was also won over by her. Tyler, 80% of the dishes on this table today were made by Zoe. I just mentioned a few of your favorite dishes. And she made them casually. This child, the more I look at her, the better she is. I don't know how many times better than the one you found before. Dad of Xavier. On such a great day. Why mention that white-eyed wolf? Dad quickly shut up. Instead, after's always served me dishes. She asked curiously, Uncle and Aunt. Are you talking about Xavier? My mom was a bit surprised. Zoe. You also know her? I gave Zoe several winks. She hesitated. My mom glared at me fiercely. Tyler. What's wrong with your eyes? Then she turned to Zoe with a kind face again. Zoe. Speak boldly. I shut up. Zoe gave me a difficult look, and then turned to look at my mom. Auntie. When I was on a blind date with Tyler. Xavier was also there. I heard that Tyler didn't succeed in the previous 8 blind dates. I suspect that she was making trouble in the previous 8 times. My parents' faces were livid with anger. My dad stood up abruptly. Full of anger in his tone. What on earth does this white-eyed wolf want to do? My mom also cursed angrily. She just doesn't want our Tyler to have a good life. This heartless thing. Zoe quickly comforted them. Sure enough. She was good at speaking. A few words made my parents lose their temper. Halfway through the meal, the doorbell rang. It must be your Sarah. Tyler. Hurry up and open the door. She is your matchmaker. I put down my chopsticks and walked towards the door. When I opened the door, it wasn't Sarah who came into view, but Xavier. I subconsciously wanted to close the door, but she squeezed in under my arm through the crack. Tyler. I know Zoe is also here today. I'm here to expose her false true face. 6. She walked around me and came to the dining table. Zoe. You flirtatious gold digger. My parents both stood up and glared at her angrily. Instead, Zoe got up calmly and looked at her coldly. Xavier. Can't you wait until we finish eating to talk about it? Why are you so disappointing? My mom also chimed in. Xavier. You are not welcome in our house. Get out quickly. Otherwise I will call the police. I folded my arms and stood by the door quietly watching the show. Originally I wanted to watch the show, but I was pulled into the battle by Xavier. Tyler. Come here. You are also a party involved in this matter. Today I will let you take a good look at her true face. She took out a document from her bag, opened it and put it in front of me. Looking at it one by one, a chill rose from the soles of my feet straight to the top of my head. I thought I had found an extremely good woman, but it turned out that she was a dirty thing that had been played with. When my parents saw that my expression was wrong, they also came over. After seeing the content clearly, my mom held the photo in her hand tightly and threw it at Zoe. What's going on? Zoe. You'd better give me an explanation. Everyone's eyes fell on her. Originally, I thought she would be flustered and explain well, but she was calmer than everyone else. She spread her hands and looked indifferent. Since I've been exposed, I have nothing to say. I originally thought I could make a big fortune again. I didn't expect to be discovered so soon. Xavier. It can be seen that you care about him very much. It's a pity that you are too stupid. Xavier's eyes were bloodshot. She pounced on Zoe and started fighting with her. Bitch. This is between me and Tyler. What right do you, a liar, have to judge? Suddenly being scratched by Xavier. Zoe was not to be outdone. The two fought and were inseparable. My parents still wanted to step forward to persuade them. I pulled the two away from the fighting area. Mom and Dad. They are red-eyed. If you go up, you will be accidentally injured. Let them fight. When they are tired, they will naturally stop. There was still some worry on Mom and Dad's faces. In the end, both of them were bruised. After all, Zoe. who is often faced with such scenes, should have practiced. This fight was completely a one-sided beating. But Xavier was like being on drugs. She was thrown to the ground again and again, and she could still stand up. Xavier, it shows that you have some strength if you can make me bruised. Before I leave, I'll give you a piece of advice. Don't be so fickle-minded. It's not good to eat in the bowl and look at the pot. Although Zoe, am a gold digger, I always give people a proper status. When I fish, I will only fish for one. Unlike you. Why doesn't Tyler choose you? Think about it yourself. Xavier collapsed on the ground like a dead dog. I stood there looking down at her. My parents quickly stepped forward and helped her up. Xavier, are you okay? She raised her hand and wiped the dirt on her face. She grinned. Uncle and Aunt. I'm fine. As long as Tyler isn't deceived. I'll be fine no matter what. My parents looked at each other. In the end, they didn't say anything else. Instead, they asked me to take her to the hospital. On the way to the hospital, the car was very silent. Finally, I couldn't help but ask, "How did you find out that Zoe has a problem?" She twitched the corner of her mouth. Jason has a brother who went on a blind date with her 2 years ago. After being cheated and losing all his family property, he was abandoned again. Finally, he wanted to jump off a building to commit suicide. When I left you at the wedding, it was Jason who asked me to go and save him. I was silent. So it was really me who didn't know people clearly. Zoe is a gold digger. She specifically uses blind dates as an excuse to find those gullible older leftover men. After cheating people of their money, she leaves without a trace. Xavier's running away from the wedding was also understandable. Jason's brother wants to jump off a building. What's the use of you going? There was an awkward blush on her face with bruises and cyan. That brother of his once pursued me, and was rejected by me. He asked me to go there to deceive him down from the rooftop by relying on our old relationship. After she ran away from the wedding, I flew all over the world with a plane ticket just to avoid her. At that time, I thought that she didn't want me because of Jason. My heart was so painful that I was about to die. I didn't even want to listen to her explanation. So even though I knew that she was looking for me all over the world, I didn't stop. Finally, I met a girl abroad and started a business with her. We achieved some results. But I am always a child of the motherland and always have to return home. After all, my parents are also in the country. I returned home 2 months ago. As soon as I came back, my parents urged me to go on blind dates. I delayed for a month on the pretext of being too busy with work after returning. In the end, I couldn't resist the two of them and started one blind date after another. As soon as I returned to China, Xavier knew. In the past 2 months, she has been following me, like a little tail. She even quit her job with $1 million annual salary and joined the company I work for. Her salary was reduced by 1/3. After accompanying her to see a doctor, I finally sent her back to Tyler's house. Her parents have been abroad. In fact, there is only her in Tyler's house. Her injuries are all superficial. They will disappear after a few days of rest. She can still take care of herself in life. After sending her there, I left. Even if she cried and begged me to stay, I didn't stay for a moment. My feelings for her now are very strange. I can't figure it out myself. Anyway, it's very messy. It was already 11 o'clock at night when I got home. My parents hadn't slept yet, and were sitting upright in the living room. As soon as I came back, my mom waved to me. "Tyler, come here. Your dad and I have something to tell you." I obediently sat over. My mom came over and took my hand. "Tyler, Mom can also see that Xavier still has you in her heart. Otherwise, why would she disrupt your 8 blind dates? In the past 2 years, she hasn't had a good life either. She has been looking for you all over the world. As soon as she returns to Zhongcheng, she will come to our house to visit us. Although she is driven away every time, she has the intention Her perseverance is also very rare. My dad also spoke. Tyler, tell us what you think. Do you want to reconsider her? I was silent for a long time. My mind was already in a mess. Now that they asked me, it became even more chaotic. In the end, I could only say that I would think about it again, and got up and went back to my room. Buried myself in the pillow. The past between me and Xavier flashed through my mind like a panorama. I heaved a heavy sigh. After all, I still couldn't let her go. Otherwise, I wouldn't have let her disrupt my 8 blind dates. Early the next morning, Xavier's car was parked downstairs at my house again. Tyler, I'm here to pick you up for work. I hesitated for 3 seconds on the spot, but still didn't get in her car. Instead, I turned and got into my own car. When it was almost time to get off work in the afternoon, my mom sent me a message. Tyler, there is another blind date tonight. I'll send you the address later. Remember to go. This blind date is guaranteed to satisfy you. Although I am a bit reluctant to go on blind dates now, my mom insists that I go. I can't disobey her either. The appointment time with the other party is 6:30. And the location is the coffee shop downstairs of my company. As soon as I got off work, I came here. I was more than 10 minutes earlier than the appointed time. While scrolling through Moments, someone sat down opposite me. When I looked up, I found that the person opposite was Xavia. She had changed into a different outfit. Her hairstyle was carefully done, and her makeup was also in the style I liked the most before. Tyler, can we start over? She crossed her hands, looking a bit nervous, like an interviewee waiting for the interview result. I wanted to laugh a little, but I also wanted to act serious in front of her. Xavia, you know, I don't eat grass that has turned back. Picking up expired love and eating it again will make my stomach upset. The smile with 8 teeth on her face cracked. But in an instant, she returned to her nature as a little crybaby. Tyler, I won't let you have a stomachache. Let's try again. Okay? This time I will definitely not let you down. I will definitely choose you firmly. She cried like pear blossoms with rain. People around us all looked at us. I was a bit embarrassed and got up and walked out. She was faster than me and hugged me from behind. She buried her face in my back. Her voice was choked with sobs. Tyler, just once. Give me another chance. Please. I really can't live without you. I wanted to break free from her, but she hugged me even tighter. For a moment, I even felt that she wanted to strangle me. Xavia, can we go outside and talk? I don't want to be watched like a monkey. Perhaps my tone was too heavy. The hand she had around my waist slowly loosened and changed to holding my hand. Tyler, don't run. I gave a wry smile helplessly. After paying the bill, we left the coffee shop. As soon as we got in the car, she hooked my neck and kissed me. I hadn't kissed for a long time. For a moment, I didn't know how to change my breath, and was almost kissed so hard that I couldn't catch my breath. Her kiss was passionate and fierce. I was a bit overwhelmed, and even had some reactions. After the kiss, she fell limply into my arms. I pushed her away and took a tissue and wiped my mouth hard. Xavia, we have no relationship now. You doing this will only make me hate you more. She wrinkled her little red nose from crying. There were still teardrops hanging from the corners of her eyes. She looked weak, pitiful and helpless. I was a bit soft-hearted. But it was only for a moment. Tyler, I won't do this again in the future. I will definitely kiss you only after asking for your consent. I know you can't accept me yet. It doesn't matter. I have been looking for you for 2 years. I have plenty of time. Since I could make you fall in love with me once, I will definitely make you fall in love with me a second time. There was a light in her eyes that made it a bit hard for me to open my eyes. I didn't say anything and got out of the car by pushing the door. In the days that followed, she still picked me up and dropped me off from work every day, and brought breakfast for me and my parents. I never got in her car. In the end, She got in my car by pestering me. She persevered in coming to our house every day. My parents also turned a blind eye and began to accept her again. The spring festival holiday of our company starts from the day before New Year's Eve. During this time, we see each other almost every day. I thought she would stop after the holiday. But on the morning of New Year's Eve, she came again. During this rare holiday, I slept until late in the morning. As soon as I got up, I saw Xavier happily making dumplings with my parents. When she saw me coming out, Xavier waved a spatula. "Tyler, the dumplings will be ready soon. Are you hungry?" 9. She smiled brightly and brilliantly, as if my lukewarm attitude these days had no effect on her at all. I slammed the door and went out after getting dressed neatly. Now, in my eyes, she is always an outsider. In front of outsiders. Naturally, I can't wander around in pajamas. When Mom saw that I had changed clothes, there was teasing in her eyes. She whispered in my ear, "Tyler, you still have feelings for Tyler, right? A mom messes up for the one who pleases him. There's something wrong with you." I rolled my eyes. I was also a bit annoyed in my heart. Would Xavier also misunderstand? Looking up at her. Sure enough, she was looking at me with shining eyes. "Tyler, your outfit today is so handsome and energetic." I turned my face away and felt my cheeks were a bit hot. Xavier stayed at my house all day. She, who had never touched spring water with her 10 fingers, surprisingly learned to cook from my dad. Tyler doesn't like cooking. Then it must be me who will do it in the future. I always have to learn. The admiration for her and my parents' eyes became even stronger. On New Year's Eve night, she proposed to take me out to set off fireworks. I didn't want to go at first. My parents urged me vigorously. In the end, I still went out with her. She drove me to the seaside dedicated to setting off fireworks. After arranging all the fireworks neatly, there was still an hour before midnight. Some of her friends also came with us. We set off small fireworks by the sea. She took pictures of me with a camera. This scene seemed familiar. It was all what we had experienced together before. Her photography skills were all practiced by taking pictures of me over the years. Every frame she took was of master-level technology. When there were still a few minutes left before midnight, she asked me to hold her and get on the roof of the car. She also asked me to sit on it with her. "Tyler, this position is the best. Watching fireworks is the most beautiful." The bell for midnight rang. Fireworks were set off simultaneously. It was extremely beautiful and dazzled my eyes. It also ignited my heart that had been silent for a long time. This way of watching fireworks was the first time. There were waves of fireworks. There were even her confession words. I couldn't take my eyes off it. Xavier was sitting beside me, looking at me all the time and ignoring the fireworks in front of her. As soon as one wave ended, I turned my head and met her affectionate eyes. It seemed as if I had lost my heart. My body slipped. I fell down from the top. She was faster than me. At a critical moment, she became my stepping stone. And the position where I fell was not right. I directly knelt on her leg. I seemed to hear the cracking sound of a fracture. In a flurry, the fireworks were still going on, but we went to the hospital. Sure enough, her leg was fractured. But it was not a big problem. It would recover after 10 days and a half month of rest. Originally, I was going to take care of her at her house, but her parents came back. I couldn't go anymore. But even if her leg was injured, she still had to come out to find me just to see me. I seemed to feel her sincerity. The frozen string in my heart was stirred again. The day before the Lantern Festival, I sent her a message. "Xavier, at 8 o'clock tomorrow night, let's meet at the playground of No. 1 Middle School. I have something important to tell you." The playground of No. 1 Middle School is the place where she confessed to me before and also the place where we fell in love. She has always been the one chasing me. This time it's my turn to take the initiative to chase her. She replied with a good emoji. On the day of the Lantern Festival, I prepared flowers and small electric lights and went to one middle school at 6 o'clock. At this time, school hadn't started yet. But the uncle in the security room knew me. After knowing my intention, he let me in directly. However, the meaningful smile in his eyes made me a bit confused. After parking the car, as soon as I walked to the playground with a pile of things in my arms, I was shocked by the scene in front of me. The ground was covered with flowers and small electric lights forming a heart. In the center, there was a dreamy stage temporarily set up. In the center of the stage, there was a piano. Xavier was wearing an exquisite little dress. Her hairstyle was also specially done. She looked like a little fairy who didn't eat the fireworks of the world. She was astonishingly beautiful. As soon as I appeared, the piano started playing. She looked at me affectionately while playing the piano, with a burning light in her eyes. At the position of my left atrium, my heart was beating so hard. It seemed that something was about to jump out of my chest. After a song ended, my eyes were a bit sore, until she walked up to me holding flowers and knelt down on one knee. "Tyler, you have always been accommodating and taking care of me. Can I do it this time? Last time it was you who proposed. This time it's my turn. Will you still marry me?" I forced back the tears swirling in my eyes and looked down. In the middle of the bouquet, there was an exquisite ring. It was the one customized when we got married. But this ring had already been thrown into the artificial lake of the school by me. Unexpectedly, she found it back. I took the bouquet and extended my hand to her. A shiny dime and ring slowly slipped onto my finger. She also stood up and extended her hand to me. I put the ring on her hand. The two hands wearing wedding rings were tightly clasped together. We also kissed passionately. Around us, there was thunderous warm applause. This long and torturous love that has lasted for many years. From school uniforms to wedding dresses. Everything I once dreamed of finally has the best ending.